Senate will come to order. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Legislative Day number 10, Friday, February 20th, 2026. Anderson? Here. Barlow? Present. Boner? Here. Brennan? Here. Case? Present. Cooper? Here. Crago? Here. Crum? Present. Dockstader? Here. Driscoll? Here. French? Here. Garou? Here. Hicks? Here. Hutchings? Here. Ide? Here. Jones? Here. Cole? Present. Landon? Here. Larson? Here. Love? Here. Now we got any in the room? Here. McEwen? Here. Nethercott? Here. Olson? Here. Pappas? Here. Pearson? Here. Rothfuss? Here. Salazar? Here. Schuler? Here. Scott? Here. Steinmetz? Here. President Pipeman?
Here.
31 present.
Thank you, Ellen. Prayer today by Reverend Richard Gilbert.
I thought it wise, excuse me, I thought it wise to have someone pray who is true. So I asked Delaney and she readily agreed. So let us pray. Eternal God of competition in all creation, from nature's seeds to human needs, be pleased to dwell among us as we compete in order to complete your will for all creation. Enable us, by your enabling grace, to be gracious, grounded, growing, and above all, useful in service to all creation as we know it and live it.
God of wisdom and learning, we are grateful for education in Wyoming. We are thankful for facilities, faculty, and administrators, and especially students. Equip us all with your sufficient grace, so we may do your will for preschool through 12th grade, so all may receive an education equal to today's needs. We're also grateful for Wyoming's junior colleges and the University of Wyoming, so we may continue our education to become more competent in life and beneficial citizens of the United States. Please hear this prayer of gratitude and guide all current educational debate and decisions so beneficial ends for all may be reached. On behalf of all Wyoming students, I pray.
Governor David Friedenthal in 2005 said, "Ours is the remarkable opportunity to convert hopes and dreams from the realm of words to the realm of action. This remarkable journey of converting dreams into realities continues today. May our dreams be compatible with your own Almighty God, to the end that your eternal will become realities in our time." Governor Friedenthal also said, "We have money. No single area involves more people, gives rise to greater emotionalism, and evokes greater controversy. May legislation made possible by money convert dreams to realities, and in the words of Friedenthal, solve problems and build this state. This weekend, may each in this chamber be greeted warmly by loved ones and thoughtfully by constituents, and may we all reciprocate in kind. So we pray in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Senator Jones, will you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for being with us this week, as always. Thank you.
I want to thank the past governors for giving me good ideas to share among us in our present situation. Isn't it amazing how the wisdom of the ages relate to contemporary issues? We have had good leaders, sir. May we continue.
Reading correction and approval of journal.
Mr. President, the Journal Committee reports that the Journal of Thursday, Friday, February 19th, 2026 has been read and recommends that it be approved. Senator Crum, Chairman.
Are there any objections? There being none, the report is adopted. Doctor of the day today, Dr. Zach Herman from UW Family Residency. I believe has some strong ties to our good friends, Senators French and Larson. Dr. Herman, come on down, and I got a certificate for you. Today in Wyoming history, on this date in 1923, the longest legislative day in Wyoming history lasted 56 hours. And if you want to hear all about it, ask our good friend, Senator Scott. Now quote for the day, if there is no struggle, there is no progress. Frederick Douglass. Dad joke of the day, old Senator French wanted to name his puppies Rolex and Timex so he could have some good watchdogs. All right, today's the last day, Senators, for our very own Senate page. Delaney True, a senior at Natrona County High in Casper. Delaney wants to say a few words, but I would like to say a few words first. It's been an honor to have you here, Delaney, and it was nice to get to know you while you were here. We wish we could have you for longer, but as all Senate pages go, we only have you for a week. So Delaney, please say a few words if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, President. President Biden and Senators, I would like to thank you all for the opportunity to serve this week as your Senate page. I appreciate your kindness, patience, and guidance this week. I am a senior at Natrona County High School and will graduate in May. I am headed to the University of Wyoming in the fall to study elementary education, and I intend to join the marching band playing the clarinet. My brother Rand served as your Senate page 2 years ago and gave a presentation about the family connection to Alan Tupper True, the artist who painted the murals in both chambers, and designed the steamboat image that appears on our license plates and is the logo for the University of Wyoming. Go Pokes. In addition, my great Uncle Deemer once served as a Senate president and occupied that chair. Growing up in Wyoming and having a family so intertwined with our legislature, I understand the importance of knowing what is going on in our government and how especially important it is for younger generations to pay attention to what is happening and to get involved. Many of the topics debated this week directly impact me and my future, and watching all of you have such thoughtful debates about it truly inspires me to continue to look out for not only me, but for all the youth in Wyoming and its future generations. Having attended Girls State this past summer, I learned much of what happens on the floor, but actually being here and witnessing it is something completely different. At Girls State, I met so many smart, incredible young women, one of which you have already met, Marlo, the Senate page from last week, and two you soon will. In meeting all these girls that shared the same passion as me, I witnessed the future that Wyoming holds, and will let you all know that there are young people watching and waiting to see what you will do next. Their future is in your hands. I would like to end this by saying thank you to everyone. Thank you to all the senators for your grace and kindness, the Sergeant-in-Arms, Lance and Dick, for always greeting me at the door, and for helping early in the week as I memorized floor seating, to Chaplain Gilbert for starting us every day with a wonderful prayer and including me this morning, Miss Kara for having an answer to all my questions, Miss Marty for all her kindness and wonderful stories, to Miss Lori for all her help and for always passing me a quick, encouraging smile, Miss Sue for all her cheerful comments and helpful directions, thank you to Tom for always having a joke ready or game recommendation to cure my boredom, and finally to Chief Clerk Thompson for giving me the opportunity to serve you all this week. Thank you.
Delaney, great speech, by the way. This is a token for our appreciation for you. Here's a coin for you.
Thank you so much.
And boy, the True family just keeps on cranking out generation after generation of leaders, and you're no exception, young lady. Congratulations. Thank you. And today is the last day for Committee of the Whole in the House of Origin. And Senator Case.
Mr. President, the True family is pretty modest, but just a couple of little points. The murals that we have here and in the house, that was a True, Alan Tupper True. The image on the license plate, Lester Hunt, of course, was Secretary of State, but the Director of the Department of Transportation was a True. And so Deemer True sat in your chair, and I remember was head of my first caucus. So they've done a lot for Wyoming, and we appreciate having Delaney here this week. She's been just an absolute joy, and thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Case. Any further privileges of the floor before we get going here? Senator Driscoll.
One's kind of off, goes back a little bit to our prayer. Kind of interesting. I talked to my desk mate earlier this morning. I had a friend sent me a Wyoming livestock article from a decade ago about the retirement of Frank Phil out of his country. And I was reading through it just out of the deal, and something hit me right in the heart, and it's kind of interesting. In the middle of the quote is Senator Scott will relate to this well. He goes, John Schiffer and I passed another bill that diverted about $200 million every year into a permanent mineral trust fund. That money all went into savings and didn't get spent. Here's the part of the quote that matters. You got to keep in mind this article came out as Phil leaves Wyoming Legislature after 17 years. This is 2010. One of these days it will draw a lot more interest than it does now, says Phil. It's kind of interesting. That goes back to when the state had $80 in the bank. They diverted it through a constitutional amendment at a time that we weren't very rich in the state. We actually didn't have a lot of money. We have a lot more today than we did then. And it tells you the foresight of this guy, that guy, and a whole bunch of people, that it now is pushing 40% of our general fund spending comes out of savings. And it's a blatant pitch from me about what we do with money, how we spend it, and where it should go. Because that trend line, when you look at it, I just pulled it up for a few facts and figures, is accelerating. If we can figure out how to do it, we change what the pictures on the wall look like 30 years from now are going to be reflections on what we do as far as not what we spend today, but what we save long-term and what we do to plan for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Driscoll. Thank you to our forefathers that came before us, for sure. Messages from the House.
Message from the House of Representatives dated February 19th, 2026. Message number 125, Committee of the Whole indefinitely postponed. Mr. President, the House adopted the Committee of the Whole report by failing the bill listed below by the vote indicated. House Bill 67, Eligibility for Veterans Property Tax Exemption Amendments. Ayes 24, noes 25, excused 7, conflict 6. The bill has been indefinitely postponed. Signed, Katie Talbot, House Chief Clerk.
Okay. Bills on second reading. Wow, that's a stack. Oh, Senator Hutchings.
I know, I want to get this done before we get started. It looks like the school group is coming in, so if I can have a privilege.
The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like the body to welcome Homeschool Wyoming and homeschoolers within our state. Homeschool Wyoming has been supporting homeschoolers in Wyoming since 1996. They recommend and advocate for homeschooling that is parent-directed and privately funded. This program also works statewide to support, educate, encourage homeschool families. May we welcome them to the Senate. Thank you.
Here, here. Welcome to the Senate. All right, bills on second reading, Senate File 22, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 22, Unincorporated Nonprofit Associations Amendments, sponsored by Blockchain Task Force.
Senate File 22 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 25, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 25, Landowner License Limits in Limited Quota Hunt Areas, sponsored by Travel.
Senate File 25 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 26, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 26, Game and Fish Property Tax Exemption Amendment, sponsored by Travel.
Senate File 26 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 35, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 35, School District Cell Phone and Smartwatch Policy, sponsored by Senator Schuler.
Senate File 35 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 50, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 50, State Engineer Surface and Groundwater Study, sponsored by Senator Love.
Senate File 50 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 54, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 54, State Banks and SPDI Conversion, sponsored by Senator Rothfuss.
Senate File 54 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 55, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 55, Special Purpose Depository Institution Amendment, sponsored by Senator Rothfuss.
Senate File 55 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 56, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 56, Kratom Product Regulation, sponsored by Senator Landon.
Senate File 56 having been read two separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 59, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 59, K through 12 Language and Literacy Program, sponsored by Education.
There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read in the amendment?
Senate File 59, second reading, Amendment Number 1, page 15, line 3.
Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move Standing Committee Amendment Number 1, second reading amendment number 1, my eyes aren't open yet, to Senate File 59. Again, this is an issue where we still have some districts that are a little concerned about the language, where it asks for all district personnel to go through professional development. Even though I believe that maybe there's some language in that same paragraph on page 15 that kind of talks about the role that they play and that sort of thing. So all I'm doing is adding teachers and instructional staff and deleting all school district personnel. I hope you'll vote for this.
Thank you. Discussion on the amendment. Senator Rothfuss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, on and against it, it's better language than what we heard previously, but honestly still not as clear as the language in the bill. Remember that it's important to ensure that administrators, for example, have some level of understanding of literacy. It doesn't have to be at an instructional level, but they have to understand key aspects of it. So there are other individuals working for a school district, other school district personnel, than teachers and instructional staff that would need to be considered. The way it's drafted right now, it basically just makes a request that everybody in the school district has some consideration for their interaction with students. You know, how much instruction are they providing, and how much would they need to understand literacy, and then requires on a grade level basis that they receive the appropriate amount of professional development. So it definitely doesn't say everyone has to have professional development. It's very carefully crafted, Mr. President, not to say that. It just says that based on their role, they should have professional development appropriate for that role. Again, the bus driver and groundskeeper are not going to have professional development for literacy. The administrators probably should, particularly if they're an administrator that is dealing with literacy. Teachers obviously will, but some teachers will have less than others. I'd encourage the body to reject the amendment, keep the language in the bill as it's currently drafted, because it does capture what it needs to capture, which is that flexibility.
Further discussion on the amendment before the sponsor? All right, back to you, Senator Schuler, for your second time.
Thank you, Mr. President. And actually, the folks that brought this to me were administrators. They contend that they are instructional staff, and I believe they are. So I think those are the only people that we really want to take care of is our instructional staff. And that it's just a little bit unclear the way the paragraph reads, even though I think that where it talks about the differentiation between their roles, I think there was just too much. In fact, I even heard from a charter school who said this will decimate us if we have to do professional development for everybody in our small school district. And I said, you don't. But I just think the language is a little unclear, and that's our fault in the Education Committee. And so I would hope that you would vote for this, because teachers and instructional staff basically covers everybody we need to have covered in this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. We're voting on second reading amendment number 1, the Senate File 59. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. Chairs in doubt. All those in favor, please stand. $18. Okay, all those opposed, less than 18. Okay. Second reading amendment number 1, the Senate File 59 has been adopted. We're back on the bill. Discussion on the bill. Seeing none. Senate File 59 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 66, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 66, donated hunting licenses amendment sponsored by Senator French.
There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read in the amendment?
Senate File 66, second reading, amendment number 1, page 2, line 18.
Senator Larson.
Mr. President, thank you. I move second reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 66 and ask for your favorable consideration. Body, I definitely want this bill to go through. I do not want to make it any worse. The good senator next to me has brought a good bill. I had been in discussion with people up in my area that would also like to add terminal illness to the wording, and so that's why I'm bringing it. It would read, I think I'll just go ahead and read it. The holder of any valid big game animal license, trophy game animal license, any wild bison license, or a female or calf wild bison license may surrender said license to the Department for reissuance to a veteran with disabilities, a person who is not less than 12 years of age, with a permanent disability who uses a wheelchair, who has terminal illness, or who is vision impaired, as established by the commission rule regulation selected, the sponsored by a nonprofit charitable organization providing hunting opportunities. And then I deleted some redundant language. I have visited with the department that regulates fish, and they felt that this would be would work with them. Currently, They did not think they could fit the terminal illness into this statute through rules. So ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion on the amendment. Discussion? Seeing none. Voting on second reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 66. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. No. Amendment has been adopted. We're back on the bill. Discussion on the bill. Seeing none. Senate File 66, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 69, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 69, Waste and Stormwater Infrastructure Study, sponsored by Water.
Senate File 69, having been read 2 separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 81, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 81, K through 12 Public School Finance, sponsored by Recalibration.
Thank you. There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read in the amendment?
Senate File 81, second reading, amendment number 1, page 1, line 10.
Senator Scott.
Mr. President, I move adoption of this amendment. Mr. President, what this amendment is a classic sunset amendment for the classic purpose. And we've had quite a problem in this area to make our school finance system work properly. We've got to do a periodic recalibration. It's supposed to be every 5 years. And we've gone way too long without having one. This is the first one. If this one gets all the way through, it'll be the first one we've really completed, I think since 2005. And we've had ones fail because it was in the interest of certain parties they got more money if the recalibration failed, because it was a piece of the thing that was out of date that was helping a particular district or districts. And this is a preventive against that. It means that if you don't pass a bill, there won't be any statutes governing school finance. You can't have that, so you know you'll come back in a special session to get it done. And it forces the legislature to reach the necessary compromises to do a recalibration, and that's its purpose. We aren't permanently going to be without these laws. We have to have them, but saying they're repealed unless you pass something that undoes this forces a recalibration bill through and forces a compromise. And frankly, we've demonstrated we need that discipline. So for that reason, I urge adoption of the amendment.
Discussion on the amendment. Senator Rothfuss.
Thank you, Mr. President. On and against the amendment, Mr. President, I understand and appreciate the good tall senator's concerns and the fact that we frequently would have benefited from previous recalibrations, but going back in history of the recalibrations, the reasons were interesting that we didn't pass them. In 2015, which was the first one I served on, we went through all the interim work. I think the committee actually did a great job that year, had a lot of good recommendations, and was moving forward with legislation, but what it really came out to was the fact that at that point in time, the state was funding the funding model greater than what the recalibration would have recommended. And the select committee at that point in time was fine with that. The select committee did not have any interest in scaling back the amount of funding that was available. So at that time, the chairman of the select committee just said to the room full of people, and it was a packed house like all recalibration committees are, does anyone in here want us to pass a bill? Raise your hand if you want us to pass a bill. There were no hands that went up. Raise your hand if you want us to just move on and keep the current funding model. Every hand in the room went up. That was good legislating. We had consensus. Everyone was happy with the product, and we went home. So that worked out pretty well. No bill, went just fine. 2017, we had kind of a quick out-of-season recalibration. And that was because we had a little bit of a funding decline. So we had a funding decline. It was a significant funding decline, and the belief was that if we used a different consultant, we would end up with a recommendation that was lower than what we had in the funding model. That recommendation came back, I think it was $70 million a year higher than what we had in the funding model. So this time, the room would have all raised their hands just fine. They would have all wanted a bill. But it turned out that that particular select committee was not eager to pass a $70 million bill at a time when we did have a funding decline, so no bill came forward. And in 2020, as the good tall senator has pointed out, as we were sitting down, kind of concluding, figuring out what we wanted, like $1 billion was dropped into our lap because of COVID, as we well know. And it sort of broke the concepts of that recalibration, so we didn't bring a bill. So, Mr. President, the key take-home here is it's okay that we did what we did. There were reasons. It was not a tragic failure of the process, honestly. It just was the process working out. So the idea that we would put in place a sunset that would have precluded all of those rational decisions just doesn't seem logical to me. And what it reminds me of, honestly, is the fiscal cliff that they use at the federal level, right? The borrowing authority, where they create their own crisis and they run up against this crisis. They're accelerating towards a cliff. They don't make good decisions under those circumstances, Mr. President. A cliff is not a good motivation for sound policy. And the idea that we would need a sunset to force a future legislature to go into panic mode to pass a bill doesn't sound like sound policy either. So I'd ask the body to reject this.
Further discussion on the amendment. Senator Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm in favor of this amendment. I don't know how many people that I emailed and got emails from that said, why do we have to have recalibration? Well, number one, constitutionally, we're supposed to be doing it. Number two, the courts are saying that we have to do it. We need to be held accountable for doing this every 5 years. And there were school districts that asked us not to pass any recalibration, if you can believe that. So we need to do this, and we need to be held accountable to be doing it. So I'm in favor of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Further discussion? Senator Landon, you were up first.
Mr. President, thank you. I too have sat on 2 of these. It's a lot of hard work, and it's something that we do have to do. It's how we fund our schools out across the state, and if we don't do it, it's not calibrated. So it's really, but what this amendment does, in my opinion, Mr. President, is take away the ability of this body to respond to those situations that the Senator from Albany County just described. We have to be able to be flexible, and we have to be able to react to the situations. That was a good recalibration effort in 2015. I was on that group with the senator. We did a lot of good work, and we also made the right decision. Prior to that, we had a very successful recalibration 5 years before that. The great senator from Park County chaired that committee. So I would really caution on this amendment, don't take away your ability to be flexible and react to situations. And as we go through recalibrations, we don't know what times are going to bring. On and against the amendment.
Senator Lowe.
Mr. President, through you. As I look at this amendment and I look what I've watched over the last more than a dozen years in school finance and not having recalibration completed, and then I look at our constitutional obligations and the litigation that's occurred in that same time frame back in the early 2000s, and then again currently, I think the good senator from over the hill that the argument can be made both ways. That when there was plenty of money and we were overfunding, of course everybody's happy. And so We were able to ignore maybe some of those obligations that are required by law, including the recalibration. But I'm not sure that's the standard we need to set for ourselves, for the body, and I'm not sure that that's what our people expect of us. I guess I would like to hear an answer to the idea of how us not doing what we're obligated by law to do is okay when, on at least 2 occasions in near history and currently, it has resulted in litigation for which the people in the state get to pay both sides of. And so I'd love to hear how legally that falls. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Further discussion on the amendment? Before the sponsor, Senator Rothfuss for your second time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To address my good friend's question, we did recalibration. We didn't pass legislation. Under statute, we're obligated to do the recalibration, and we did it each time. We didn't fall out of constitutional grace based on failing to do a recalibration. We fell out of it by failing to comply with some of the requirements of statute and some of the requirements of the court. Honestly, had we just achieved the ECAs that were recommended from our consultants through the Education Committee each year, we probably wouldn't have ended up in court. Now, that's not to say there weren't components that were being raised that we needed to address, but prior to the last 5 or so years, there was adequate funding in the eyes of our consultant, which effectively determines that we're in a constitutional space. But here we are, Mr. President, at another point in time when we recognize that we're out of compliance. We did our recalibration. It's clear that we're not meeting our constitutional obligations, and we did just exactly what we needed to do. We've got an exceptional bill. We're working that bill. And the Senate did what it needed to do. We didn't need a cliff to get here, right? We looked at the circumstances, we did a recalibration, and the process is working, Mr. President. We didn't need this legislature 10 years ago to say, hey, let's give them a cliff so that they pay attention, because we're statutorily obligated and constitutionally obligated to do the work of the recalibration. And again, the idea that we can bind a future legislature is in and of itself not accurate. That's not our obligation. That's not what we're supposed to do. We'll do a recalibration again in 5 years, regardless of what we do this session. Those legislators in the future will make a decision about whether they need to or want to run a bill, with or without a cliff, and appropriate action will be taken. It's not our responsibility to babysit this legislature 5 years from now. Let's take care of our business today. Let's pass the best recalibration bill we can, and we've got a good one because we worked hard on it. And let's defeat this amendment.
Anybody else before the bill sponsor? Okay, back to you, Senator Scott, for your second time.
Mr. Chairman, we do need to do periodic recalibrations and actually change the system, because the world does gradually change and our education finance system gradually gets out of balance. We find things that don't work and that do work. I've heard slightly different versions of why some of the earlier ones failed. And in particular, that there were some districts for whom it was a big advantage to have no bill enacted, because there was an anachronistic piece that was out of balance and was favored. But I don't know whether it's true or not, but I suspect there was an element of truth in that. Mr. President, this is a classic way we have done things. It doesn't force a future legislature to do anything specific, it does mean that you've got to pass a bill on something like this. And we've put these in a number of bills, and it's worked just fine. You do get, if you don't need to change anything, you get a very simple bill, Mr. Chairman, which repeals the sunset date. We've done that a number of times. I think we may even have one for us right now in a different area. But it does mean that you've got to have some kind of action. And if there's part of the education establishment that feels it's better off with a system that's a bit out of whack, a little less grounded in reality, that doesn't stop things. So I think it's important that we do say, look, we have got to do these recalibrations. We do have a history of not following through and doing them, Mr. President. So I think this is an appropriate remedy for that. Urge adoption of the amendment.
Thank you, Senator. We're voting on second reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 81. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no.
No.
Chair's in doubt. All those in favor stand. All those opposed? More than 12. The amendment has failed. We are back on the bill. Senate File 81 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Senate File 84, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 84, Voluntary Water Conservation Program, sponsored by Water.
Senator Hicks.
Mr. Chairman, just for some edification, I'm working with a number of people on a second reading amendment, but given it's Friday and we got the budget, we decided to hold that back. So just be aware, there will be a third reading amendment coming out there, but we're just trying to expedite the process and a number of technical corrections and some policy issues, but I didn't want to debate it today given the workload that we have. So just as an FYI, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Hicks. Discussion on the bill? Seeing none. Senate File 84 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Senate File 85, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 85, sponsored by Senator Nethercutt.
Senate File 85 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Senate File 87, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 87, Felony Interference with a Police Officer Amendments, sponsored by Senator Cole.
Senate File 87 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Senate File 90, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 90, School Facilities Use Fees, sponsored by Senator Brennan.
There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read the amendment?
Senate File 90, second reading amendment number 1, page 2, line 18.
Senator Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move second reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 90. Members of the body, yesterday in presenting this bill, I realized that there was one place where we just need a conforming amendment with the amendments that we made yesterday, so please vote aye.
Discussion on the amendment. Seeing none, we're voting on second reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 90. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. We're back on the bill. Discussion on the bill. Seeing none, Senate File 90 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Senate File 95, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 95, Drivers and Motor Vehicle Services Third-Party Providers, sponsored by Senator Pappas.
Senate File 95, having been read two separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 96, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 96, Tobacco Sales and Taxation, sponsored by Senator Pappas.
Senate File 96, having been read two separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 105, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 105, Real Estate Brokers Duties and Disclosure Amendment, sponsored by Senator Jones.
Senate File 105, having been read two separate times, the question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate File 119, second reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 119, Strategic Investments and Projects Account, Repeal 2, sponsored by Senator Hicks.
There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read in the amendment?
Senate File 119, second reading, Amendment Number 1, page 1, after line 9.
Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move second reading Amendment Number 1 to Senate File 119 and ask for your favorable consideration. Fellow Senators and Mr. President, you remember yesterday after a lengthy discussion on the bill, the major issue that we found was just the fact that there is the 45% of the amount that goes into the school foundation or the school foundation program account. So we're simply switching that from the SIPA to the Legislative Stabilization Reserve account so that that transfer will be there. We were unable to find a way to do it with the general fund, so the LSRA is the proportional amount because the money flows into the LSRA from the general fund the same way it flows into SIPA. So if we repeal SIPA, we're just putting that obligation onto the LSRA. So with that, I would ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Senator. Discussion on the amendment. Senator Guru.
Thank you, Mr. President. On and for. This attempts to answer a lot of the questions that came from a lot of you about the concern about funding for the school foundation account and how we can keep funding those and funding schools. Remember, when all we're trying to do with the repeal of the SIPA account is just to simplify our books. Take one more coffee can account and just move it away so we can see readily when we look at the budget what we're paying for and where it's coming from. That having been said, the concern about these automatic tips into school funding account to keep that fund flowing and to make sure those monies are there is a real concern. This amendment, by voting for this amendment, addresses that concern. It also comes though with a caveat, and it'll come later on today probably when we get to the very end of the budget. We'll do what we call a budget balancer. I'll be carrying that. And it's going to be a big number, and it's profiling what we're doing today. And this bill is a part of that. So when you see that and go, wow, $300 million budget balancer, what was that? It was just because we moved $288 million over one side and from the other. So be on the lookout for that. But on and for this amendment, I think this makes this bill stronger. I'd say pass this amendment. Let's keep talking about it into third, and let's move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Further discussion? Senator Scott.
Mr. President, looking at this amendment, I'm going to simply ask a question. We've got a scholarship program out there for scholarships to private schools. The legal argument, it's quite clear that you can't use school funds in this state for that purpose. So we use general funds. And my question is, with this money going from the LSRA to the Public School Foundation Program account in this amendment, are we undermining our legal position in defending that that scholarship program. And I don't know that we are, but I think it's something we need to think about, Mr. President. I think it's probably safe to pass the amendment today, but I think the proponents might want to take a look at that over the next day or so and see if it's safe to keep the amendment.
Thank you. Senator Hicks.
Mr. Chairman, I can answer that, and the answer is equivocally no. It doesn't jeopardize that whatsoever, because these are general fund. This is your spending policy, so we take that 4 or 5.5% off, but it's all general fund money. You can trace this right back to the corpus of the Permanent Mineral Trust Fund, so it's not into the school counts or profile anyway. It's the original source of the money. So I would absolutely say, I will confirm, I always say trust but verify with our budget fiscal, but right now I'm going to say absolutely no, but we'll confirm that it's not going to jeopardize that in any way.
Thank you, Senator Hicks. Further discussion? Further discussion? Back to the sponsor. Senator Steinmetz, you want to go for your second time? Oh, she's good. Question being called. We're voting on second reading amendment number 1, the Senate File 119. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. Second reading amendment number 1, the Senate File 119 has been adopted. We're back on the bill. Discussion on the bill. Seeing none, Senate File 119 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection is so ordered. Senate File 123, second reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 123, Wyoming Energy Dominance Fund, sponsored by Senator Biden.
Senate File 123 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Senate Joint Resolution number 9. Second reading of the joint resolution.
Senate Joint Resolution number 9, Keeping Public Lands Protected and Decisions Local, sponsored by Senator Barlow.
Senate Joint Resolution 9 having been read 2 separate times. The question is, shall the bill be read a third time? Hearing no objection, it is so ordered. Bills on third reading, final passage. Oh, before we go there, Senator Pappas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. May I have privilege of the floor?
Yes, sir, the floor is yours.
So, ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, when I was a younger man, actually in high school, I was a proud cadet of an organization called the Civil Air Patrol. And today we have some cadets visiting us from the Wyoming wing of the Civil Air Patrol, and I'd like to introduce them to you. From Laramie Squadron, we have Captain Giovanni Zuber. From the Cheyenne Squadron, we have Tech Sergeant Andrew Hawes, Senior Airman Jeremy Schaefer, Senior Airman Micah Schaefer, Airman First Class Elijah Schaefer, Airman First Class Jalen Miller, and Cadet Emily Davis. And along with them is a Wyoming Wing Commander, Colonel Rodney Burnett, Lieutenant Colonel Todd DePorter, who's the Deputy Wing Commander, and Captain Luana DePorter, Public Affairs Officer of the Wyoming Wing. Please give them a warm welcome.
Hear, hear. Welcome, Civil Air Patrol cadets, to the Senate. Thank you, Senator Pappas. Okay, bills on third reading and final passage. Madam Majority Floor Leader, do we have a consent list?
Mr. President, I move third reading consent list, which is as follows. Senate File 20, Data Privacy Government Entities. Senate File 27, Leashed Dogs for Tracking Black Bear. Senate File 39, Long-Term Homeowner Tax Exemption Sunset Repeal. Senate File 43, Conservation District Supervisor Contracting. Senate File 46, Skill-Based Amusement Games, Licensed Liquor Establishments. Senate File 57, Transparency in Hospital Service Pricing. Senate File 67, Wyoming State Guard Amendments. Senate File 71, Wyoming Department of Homeland Security. Senate File 88, sex offenders, residents near child care facilities. Senate File 107, motor vehicle registration and plate issuance system. Senate File 122, medical necessity standard timeline amendments. Senate File 124, economic development rodeo museum. And Senate File 126, Wyoming Ireland Trade Commission.
Thank you, Madam Majority Floor Leader. Would anybody wish to have any of these bills removed from the consent list? Senator Case.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to pull Senate File 39, long-term homeowner tax exemption sunset repeal, and Senate File 88, sex offenders, residents near child care facilities.
Okay, those have been removed from the consent list. Anybody else? Anybody else? Okay. Having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall these bills pass the Senate? Senate File 20, Data Privacy Government Entities. Senate File 27, Leash Dogs for tracking black bear. Senate File 43, Conservation District Supervisor Contracting. Senate File 46, Skill-Based Amusement Games, Licensed Liquor Establishments. Senate File 57, Transparency in Hospital Service Pricing. Senate File 67, Wyoming State Guard Amendments. Senate File 71, Wyoming Department of Homeland Security. Senate File 107, Motor Vehicle Registration and Plate Issuance Systems. Senate File 122, Medical Necessity Standard Timeline Amendments. Senate File 124, Economic Development Rodeo Museum, and Senate File 126, Wyoming Ireland Trade Commission. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
On the consent list, Anderson. Aye. Barlow. Aye. Boner. Aye. Brennan. Aye. Case. Aye. Cooper. Aye. Crago. Aye. Crum. Aye. Dockstetter. Aye. Driscoll. Aye. French. Aye. Grew. Aye. Hicks. Aye. Hutchings. Ide. Aye. Jones. Aye. Kolb. Aye. Landon. Aye. Larson. Aye. Love. Aye. McEwen. Aye. Nethercott. Aye. Olson. Aye. Pappas. Aye. Pearson. Aye. Rothfuss. Aye. Salazar. Aye. Schuler. Aye. Scott. Aye. Steinmetz. President Biteman.
Aye.
On the consent list, 31 aye. Senate File 20, are there any changes? Pearson? Aye to no. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 20, 30 aye, 1 no. Senate File 27, are there any changes? Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 27, 31 aye. Senate File 43, are there any changes? Anderson, conflict? Yes. Ide? Aye to no. McEwen? Aye to no. Pearson? Aye to no. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 43, 27 aye, 3 no. 1 conflict. Senate File 46, are there any changes? Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 46, 31I. Senate File 57, are there any changes? Crum conflict. Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 57, 30I, 1 conflict. Senate File 67, are there any changes? French, aye to no. Case, aye to no. Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 67, 29I, 2 no. Senate File 71, are there any changes? Aye? Aye to no. Pearson? Aye to no. Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 71, 29I, 2 no. Senate File 107, are there any changes? Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 107, 31I. Senate File 122, are there any changes? Case aye to no. Closing vote. Barlow, aye to no. Closing vote closed. Senate File 122, 29I, 2 no. Senate File 124, are there any changes? Case? Aye to no. Steinmetz? Aye to no. Hutchings? Aye to no. Ide? Aye to no. McEwen? Aye to no. Pearson? Aye to no. French? Aye to no. Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 124, 24I, 7 no. And lastly, Senate File 126, are there any changes? Kolb? Aye to no. Pearson? Aye to no. Steinmetz? Aye to no. Hutchings? Aye to no. Larson? Aye to no. Ide?
No.
Aye to no. McEwen?
Aye to no.
Aye to no. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 126, 24 aye, 7 no.
Having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the Senate, Senate File 20, Data Privacy Government Entities, Senate File 27, Leash Dogs for Tracking Black Bear, Senate File 43, Conservation District Supervisor Contracting, Senate File 46, Skill-Based Amusement Games Licensed Liquor Establishments, Senate File 57, Transparency and Hospital Service Pricing, Senate File 67, Wyoming State Guard Amendments, Senate File 71, Wyoming Department of Homeland Security, Senate File 107, Motor Vehicle Registration and Plate Issuance System, Senate File 122, Medical Necessity Standard Timeline Amendments, Senate File 124, Economic Development Rodeo Museum, and Senate File 126, Wyoming Ireland Trade Commission have passed the Senate. Bills on third reading. Senate File 39, third reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 39, Long-Term Homeowner Tax Exemption Sunset Repeal, an act relating to taxation sponsored by Senator Crago.
Senator Case.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would urge us to cast a no vote on this bill. Mr. President, the Constitution is actually pretty clear that all property, except as in this Constitution, otherwise provided, shall be uniformly valued in its full value as defined by the legislature, in now 4 classes as follows. This violates that. Mr. President, it takes and takes a type of property, which could all live in identical houses, and this, you pay taxes based on how long you've lived in the house, what your age is, and Mr. President, that's not fair value. It wasn't fair when we put it in without it wasn't a constitutional when we put it in without the sunset, or with the sunset. It's not constitutional without it. I urge you no vote. And Mr. President, what it does is it jams up our housing market. It causes people to remain in their homes. You could look at this 2 ways. I suppose you say it permits people to remain in their homes. But the truth is, our property taxes are reasonable. They go to support local services. They enable us to have local people have skin in the game. And if we make it artificially low, then it prevents people. What we got is a lot of old people living in big houses. And when there's a lot of young people who really need housing, we have a great housing shortage. Mr. President, I hope you'll vote no.
Further discussion on the bill? Any discussion? Senator Crago.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll keep it short for several reasons. one, we have a lot of work to do today, and 2, I'm not feeling well, so don't have a lot of words in me. But Mr. President, the whole point of this bill when we passed it a few years ago was to help those who need it most. That's the intent of the bill, to continue doing that. Without this, the help goes away. And I would just remind folks, Article 15, Section 12 of the Constitution says the legislature may prescribe exemptions for property. And that's what we're doing with this. So with that, I would ask for an aye vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none. Senate File 39 having been read 3 separate times. The question is, shall this bill pass the Senate? The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Third reading roll call, Senate File 39. Anderson? Aye. Barlow? Aye. Boner? Aye. Brennan? Aye. Case conflict? Conflict? Cooper? Aye. Crago? Aye. Crum? Aye. Dockstetter? Aye. Driscoll conflict? Driscoll conflict. French? Aye. Guru? Aye. Hicks conflict? Thank you. Hutchings? Aye. 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 Jones? Aye. Cole? Aye. Landon? Conflict? Larson? Aye. Love? Aye. McEwen? Aye. Nethercott? Aye. Olson? Aye. Pappas? Conflict? Pearson? Aye. Rothfuss? Aye. Salazar? Aye. Schuler, conflict? Thank you. Scott? No. Steinmetz? Aye. President Beitman?
Aye.
Aye. Crum, aye to conflict. Anderson? Aye to conflict. Cole? Aye to conflict. Closing vote. Closing vote closed. Senate File 39, 21 ayes, 1 no, 9 conflict.
Senate File 39 having been read, or Senate File 39 having received the majority of the vote of the members elected to the Senate, Senate File 39, long-term homeowner tax exemption sunset repeal has passed the Senate. Senator Cole.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to explain the conflict. Two things. First, I represent people that are on a fixed income that would really benefit from this. So I was torn between my age and that. But I believe we were allowed to still vote for this, technically speaking, because I'm representing a class of people. That was my reason. I desperately want to support my people who are in need of this. It necessarily is not me, but I felt it was necessary to stand up and explain my conflict. Thank you, Mr. President.
Much appreciated, Senator Cole. Thank you. Senate File 44, third reading of the Senate file.
Senate File 44, Gambling Amendments, an act relating to crimes and offenses, sponsored by Management Council.
There is an amendment. Would the reading clerk please read in the amendment?
Senate File 44, third reading, Amendment Number 1, page 3, line 8.
Senator Schuler.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would move third reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 44 and ask for your favorable consideration. This is just a little cleanup. We had a few issues, I think, and I don't know if every community did, but we did in our community, of folks that were doing some drawings, and they weren't for charitable purposes, didn't understand that they needed to be, but we didn't have it really clarified in the gambling section. So this really just clarifies, if you look on page 3, it just says raffles or drawings conducted for charitable purposes in which 100% of the net proceeds remaining after payment of all costs, supplies, and winnings are used for charitable purposes. I think it clears up at least a couple of the folks that were doing these in our community, what they need to do if they're going to do a drawing and how it needs to be done and where it needs to go. So it's just a little cleanup, and it kind of provides some clarity for those people that are trying to do drawings or raffles. Thank you.
Discussion on the amendment. Senator Cole.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. On and for the amendment, I think it broadens it up. Actually, I could even argue that it should be flipped in order on priority, but I think it helps out the people conducting these activities to understand that they have to be purely for a charitable event. So on and for the amendment, Mr. President.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Seeing none. We're voting on first reading, or third reading amendment number 1 to Senate File 44. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Amendment has been adopted. We're back on the bill. Discussion on the bill? Seeing none. Senate File 44, having been read 3 separate times, the question is, shall this bill pass the Senate? Chief Clerk will please call the roll.
Third reading roll call, Senate File 44. Anderson? Aye. Barlow? Aye. Boner? Aye. Brennan? Aye. Case? Aye. Cooper? Aye. Crago? Aye. Crum? Aye. Driscoll? Aye. Dockstader? Aye. French? Aye. Guru? Aye. Hicks? Hutchings? Aye. Ide? Aye. Jones? Aye. Hicks? Aye. Cole? Aye. Landon? Aye. Larson? Aye. Love? Aye. McEwen? Aye. Nethercott? Aye. Olson? Aye. Pappas? Aye. Pearson? Aye. Rothfuss? Aye. Salazar? Aye. Schuler? Aye. Scott? Aye. Steinmetz? Aye. President Beitman?
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 44, 31 aye.
Senate File 44, having received the affirmative vote of the majority of the members elected to the Senate, Senate File 44, gambling amendments, has passed the Senate. Senate File 88, third reading of the Senate File.
Senate File 88, sex offenders residents near child care facilities, an act relating to crimes and offenses, sponsored by Senator Salazar.
Senator Case.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I would ask us to resist this bill. Mr. President, I know it sounds awful good and it would probably play well in the election. But, Mr. President, it's not fully thought out. And if we look at the big picture of things, sex offender registration is an attempt to protect the public. And it came about originally with federal direction, and it's been implemented in Wyoming, of course. And Mr. President, there are plenty of people that have had crimes that existed before registration was actually required by law. They're retroactively caught up into the bill. Now there's not so many anymore because the registration has been in place for a long time, but it's been modified, and who registers, who can get on or get off, for relatively minor crimes. And these are all serious crimes. So when I say it's a degree, it goes all the way from statutory rape, where it's consensual, but there are more than 4 years between the perpetrator and the victim, to there could be two people that fall in love, and one of the persons works in a position of authority over the other person. And I say fall in love because it can actually be that. But for that person of authority to engage in sexual activity with the person potentially under their control, that's a serious crime. You end up on the sex offender registry. Sex offenses are very complicated. We all are horrified, absolutely horrified, by sex offenses to children and minors. It's horrific, Mr. President. But that's not really what this bill does. It doesn't say we need to protect these children in these daycare centers by making sure that people that have a history of sexual offenses against children or been convicted of sexual offenses against children are on the registry, and we have to protect the daycare center, make sure that they can't live within so far, own property within so far. It doesn't just cover crimes against children. If it did, I might be more open, because that makes sense societally. Because we want to protect those children. But this covers any person that has to be on the registry. That's a pretty broad aspect. And in some crimes, you can't get off the registry. Some you can petition to get off the registry after so many years. But this would allow instances of a crime. It could be consensual sex between an adult and a minor. where there is more than 4 years difference between the victim and the perpetrator. It didn't involve small children. And it happened a very, very long time ago. Potentially so long ago that there wasn't even a registry. Now, in that instance, sometimes you can get petitioned to get off. Judges are very hard about that. If you say, well, it's been 10 years since my crime, the victim doesn't object, and I would like to be removed from the registry. Judges don't have to do that. All I'm saying is we cast a very broad net here with severe implications for people that might own their property and a new business comes into their neighborhood. I don't think this is well thought out as the work that we should be doing in the Senate. I don't think it's thought out in the sense that we're talking about daycare facilities and we're not talking about crimes involving children or potentially involving children, or even crimes like possessing child pornography. I get all that. This is any of those crimes, Mr. President. And I know that it sounds really good that you can go home and say, I protected daycare centers from sexual offenders. But honestly, I don't think we're really doing that, Mr. President. I think we're trying to look good for the election.
Let's try not to question people's motives on the floor. Stick to the issues. Senator Salazar first.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I'll be brief too because I'm somewhat ill, but if ever a bill needed to have common sense on it, this would be it. Let me read the title. Sex offenders' residence near child care facilities. Let me read it again. Sex offenders' residence near child care facilities. I do not want to wait for a tragic incident to happen. This helps prevent that. I've not received a single call, not received a single email to my knowledge of anyone opposing this. This is common sense. And by the way, I'd like to thank the Judiciary Committee for making it better unanimously. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator Salazar. Senator Kolb.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. After hearing the debate from my learned colleagues, I am even more convinced this is a good bill. I believe it's what we have to do. I'm morally obligated for that reason to support this. And I do thank the process for getting that bill to this point. On and for the bill, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Further discussion? Let's go over to Senator Rothfuss.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I think the bill is in much better shape leaving this chamber than it started in the chamber, and I appreciate the amendment to provide better clarity on facilities so that it can be identified. But, Mr. President, I think the concern that my good friend has with this bill is a broader question, and it's one that I share, which is that our registry system itself is flawed. Right, this bill does something which, as my good colleague pointed out, is appropriate. It's exactly the type of thing we would want. We don't want those that represent a threat to our children to be living across the street from a daycare facility, right? That does make good sense, Mr. President. But it is our obligation as a legislature to tackle the hard challenges related to the underlying issues here and recognize that we can't just be stacking on new pieces to a relatively flawed system. And the child sex registry, or not the child sex, excuse me, the sex offender registry in the state of Wyoming is a pretty flawed system. Because, again, I think what we want collectively, what my constituents want, is an accurate database that tells them useful information about what individuals they should actually be concerned about. And the list at this point in time, because nobody ever gets off it, and you can get on it for things that really none of us would worry much about, it actually waters down the efficacy of it. And it makes life difficult for individuals that probably shouldn't be on it in the first place, and actually makes life difficult for those that just want to know who is on it and who's living near their neighborhood. So while this isn't the vehicle, Mr. President, to solve this problem, the concern that I have as we keep passing bills like this is that we don't have the appetite to actually tackle the big challenge of creating a sex offender registry that appropriately reflects those that we're afraid of and we don't want anywhere near our children, and those that we really don't care if they live next door to us. That's a much better system, but it's not politically expedient to tackle that problem, because at that point, a group of us has to get together and say, hey, maybe some of these people don't belong in the sex offender registry. And that is politically unpopular, it's unpalatable, and it's not the type of challenge any of us want to take on. So I appreciate, again, the thoughtfulness that went into amending this to try to tackle this problem. The real problem with our system underlies this bill, and I don't think this bill is responsible for changing it, but I guess I'd challenge the Senate to be a little more thoughtful in the future as we look at adding newer and newer things to the sex offender registry. We need to fix that underlying problem where we did not build an appropriate sex offender registry, because it does not protect the public as the public needs to be protected.
Any further discussion? Senator Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank the last speaker and the first speaker for bringing up some really good points that we've grappled with in here over the years. This is a flawed system. It does capture everybody, not just those who have committed the most serious of crimes. There are so many things that just end up, it's like this catch-all basket of people that end up on the sex offender registration. Also recognizing that these things are retroactive, that we do. We did that last year. We added people who were not as part of this registry and added them on, and now we're going to tell them we're going to limit their places of where they can live even more. And then the other thing is I think sometimes we forget we already have the database. The database already says where these people live, what cars they drive, where they work. And so if somebody is concerned that that is around their place, that information is already available, Mr. President. And then the last thing that I would point out, that while we have some amendments that have helped make this better, this still goes in as it is going to impact the business ability. There are still going to be child care centers that are going to be in residential areas, and I just don't know if we've got that all figured out of how that is going to interplay and what that might hurt. So I would just urge our caution in this, that maybe we need to slow down, that we need to look at the list, and that we really need to do our due diligence as a body and really get a handle on this before we pass any more rules and regulations.
Further discussion on the bill? Senator Dockstetter.
Thank you, Mr. President. Feels like we're trying to make this too complicated. It's not a complicated issue. It's offenders within 1,000 feet. It's that simple. It's not complicated. It's not an election issue. Stand in full support of the bill. The sponsors work on it.
Any further discussion? Seeing none. Senate File 88 having been read 3 separate times. The question is, shall the bill pass the Senate? The Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Third reading roll call, Senate File 88, Anderson. Aye. Barlow. Aye. Boner. Aye. Brennan. No. No. Case. No. No. Cooper.
No.
No. Craigo. Aye. Crum. Aye. Dockstader. Aye. Driscoll. Aye. French. Aye. Guru. No. Hicks. Aye. Hutchings. Aye. Aye. Jones. Aye. Cole. Aye. Landon. Aye. Larson. Aye. Love. Aye. McEwen. Aye. Nethercott. Aye. Olson. Aye. Pappas. Aye. Pearson. Aye. Rothfuss. No. Salazar. Aye. Schuler. Aye. Scott. No. Steinmetz. Aye. President Beitman.
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Senate File 88, 25 aye, 6 no.
Senate File 88 having received the affirmative vote of the majority of members elected to the Senate, Senate File 88, sex offenders residents near child care facilities has passed the Senate. Third reading of the budget bill. Senate File 1, third reading of the bill.
Senate File 1, General Government Appropriations, an act to make appropriations for the fiscal biennium commencing July 1st, 2026 and ending June 30th, 2028, sponsored by Appropriations.
Thank you. Question being called. No. There are amendments, Senator Barlow. Only 53. First amendment, third reading amendment, number 1. Would the Chief Clerk please read it in?
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 1, page 141 after line 19.
Senator Larson.
Mr. President, thank you. I move third reading amendment number 1 to Senate File number 1 and ask for your favorable consideration. This deals with keeping our Capitol open on weekends and special events, which we all want to do. And it's such a great Capitol to have people come and visit. Currently, in the budget on page 107, it states that the remaining funds from 24-25 budget shall not revert and are reappropriated to the capital preservation account. Currently, there's $207,000 is what remains, and which would be enough to carry us to the next biennium budget. Without this amendment, we are doubling up on the funds, and there will be more than $550,000 there. So I urge your consideration on this, and hopefully we can get it passed, and there's plenty of dollars there to keep our Capitol open.
Thank you, Senator. Discussion on the amendment. Discussion on the amendment. Question being called. This involves money, so a roll call vote is required. Chief Clerk, please call the roll.
Third reading amendment number 1, roll call. Anderson? No. Barlow? No. Boner? Aye. Brennan? No. Case? Aye. Cooper? No. Craigo? No. Crum? No. Dockstader? No. Driscoll? No. French? No. Guru? No. Hicks? No. Hutchings? Aye. Ide? No. Jones? No. Cole? No. Landon? No. Larson? Aye. Love? No. McEwen? No. Nethercott? No. Olson? No. Pappas? No. Pearson? Aye. Rothfuss? Aye. Salzar? Aye. Schuler? No. Scott? Aye. Steinmetz? No. President Beitman?
Aye.
Aye. Hicks, no to aye. Closing vote. Baru, no to aye. Driscoll? No to aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Third reading amendment number 1, 12 aye, 19 no.
Third reading amendment number 1 of Senate File 1 has failed. Third reading amendment number 2, will the reading clerk please read it in?
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 2, page 11, line 11.
Senator Larson.
Mr. President, I bring you third reading amendment number 2 to Senate File number 1 and ask for your favorable consideration. Body, this just keeps the vehicle purchases, enough money in there to purchase the vehicles needed for 1 year. There's, in the budget, it's $9.7 million for the 2 years. And this amendment would knock off $4.5 million. So the remaining dollars would be $5.2 million. It's anticipated that they will need to replace 170 vehicles this biennium. Currently, in the balance in this account, currently there's $15.8 million. So there's plenty of dollars there, even without any funding, to purchase the vehicles that are needed. So ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Discussion, Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I thought we were on third reading amendment number 2, and I see stormwater in this. The presenter did not do anything on stormwater, so maybe I'm out of order. So just a clarification, what amendment are we on?
We are on second reading amendment, or third reading amendment number 2 to Senate File 1. Before you go back to the sponsor, any more questions for the sponsor of the amendment?
Point of order.
Point of order? Senator Rothfuss.
I have the same question, I guess, and I guess I'd just maybe check in with the sponsor whether that was the appropriate speech.
Let's check in with the sponsor, Senator Larson.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, I too had the same question. What is this all about and why this is here? This is because with the Driscoll amendment, LSO staff had to do a lot of rework, and that's what they had to bring it. They took some out, they had to bring some back in, and I was the same, I asked the same question. Why is this in there? But this does refer to vehicle purchases in A&I.
All right, and that won't count for your second time. Okay, Senator Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a staff correction to bring us back to what we voted on is all, folks. I won't even try to explain it, but it brings us back to what we actually voted on the First Amendment of the second reading. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for the sponsor? Senator Kolb.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Could someone explain why? I mean, if it's not in the governor's rec on that First Amendment that we moved and passed, why is it necessary now? I don't understand. Thank you.
Okay, take some more questions before the sponsor. Senator McEwen.
I'm kind of confused. I think I heard there's more than enough money in there to cover this. So now we're going to appropriate some more? So my question is, will the $15 million buy more than enough vehicles or not? Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion, questions on the amendment? Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I guess I would just ask for a clarification on how much money we're talking about in this amendment, what the increase and the decrease is, and as we go through these and we're deleting the Driscoll amendment from second reading, if we could have those clarifications of exactly, because I've tried to track it, but some of it gets a little confusing. So if we could get dollar amounts, what is the increase and decrease, because it looks like there might be both in this, and if you could just let us know those details before we vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right, thank you. Senator Nethercott.
Mr. President, thank you. Before this sponsor goes for his second time, maybe for some clarity, I believe what the amendment does, just clarifying, that the main focus of the amendment is found on lines 22 through 27. And what the amendment is intending to do, seeking confirmation that it's intending to reduce Gov's rec, essentially, or second reading amendment number, whatever it was, the Driscoll amendment, by 4.5 million as it relates to vehicle purchases. Is that correct?
Okay. Oops, wrong button. Senator Hicks.
Mr. Chairman, that's exactly the way I read this, is it's a $4.5 million reduction in A&I's budget from other funds to get to that point. They had to bring in A&I because it's already in there, so it does exactly what the majority floor leader said, reduces that.
Okay. Anybody else before the sponsor? Anybody else for their second time? Senator Larson, do you wish to speak?
I'm almost afraid to, Mr. Chairman. Currently, balance in this account is 15.8 million. The governor's recommendation is 9.7 additional dollars. We're knocking, with this amendment, I would take it off 4.5 million, remaining 5.2 million. So there's plenty of dollars there. So ask for your favorable consideration.
We're voting on third reading amendment number 2 to Senate File 1. The chief clerk will please call the roll.
Third reading amendment number 2. Roll call. Anderson? No. Barlow? No. Boner? Aye. Brennan? No. Case? Aye. Cooper? No. Craigo? No. Crum? No. Dockstetter? No. Driscoll? No. French? No. Guru? No. Hicks? Aye. Hutchings? Aye. Aye. Jones? No. Cole? No. Landon? No. Larson? Aye. Love? No. McEwen? Aye. Nethercott? No. Olson? No. Pappas? No. Pearson? Aye. Rothfuss? No. Salazar? Aye. Schuler? No. Scott? Aye. Steinmetz? Aye. President Beitman?
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Closing vote closed on third reading amendment number 2, 12 aye, 19 no.
Third reading amendment number 2 to Senate File 1 has failed. We are on third reading amendment number 3, but before we get there, I want to announce you should have corrected copies now of third reading amendments number 4, 21, and 36 in your stack. So make sure you are working off the corrected copies. Senator Pappas.
Mr. Chairman, or Mr. President, may I have privilege of the floor?
Sure.
We have a group that's about ready to leave. So I would like today, we are joined by the Capital Collaborations Group, bringing together participants from all over Wyoming and representing the organizations of Juntos Wyoming, Better Wyoming, Hispanic Organization for Progress in Education, and Wyoming Independent Citizens Coalition. This event is in its third year and seeks to empower underrepresented voices and teach participants how to engage with legislators and gain practical tools to advocate in their communities. For many participants, this is their first time visiting the Wyoming Legislature. Please help me welcome them.
All right. Welcome to the Wyoming Senate. Thank you for being here today. Third reading amendment number 3 to Senate File 1. Reading clerk, please read it in.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 3, page 16, line 3.
Senator Crago.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move third reading amendment number 3 to Senate File 1. Ask for your favorable consideration. Good senators, this is a request for funding for our good Department of Agriculture to fund leadership programs within the department. And in particular, it's one program. I know there are several members of this body that have been students of that particular class, graduated from that class. And in years past, we have funded this program. We haven't done so for quite a few years. And I had some constituents back home that are big fans of this program, asked me to try to help get some funding back into the program. It's focused exclusively on agricultural issues as opposed to some of our other leadership programs. And so this is my attempt to do so. They still have to raise a lot of money on their own to make the program happen, but this would go a long ways to keep the program moving forward. And I think our department is okay with that, and they're happy to help as well. So with that, Mr. President, I'd ask for an aye vote on the amendment.
Thank you. Discussion. Senator Driscoll.
Mr. President, thanks. I'll be brief. I'm a graduate out of that program. It's come up with a lot of our legislators and a lot of our ag leaders in the state. It was started with heavy state support. It kind of went away. I've brought this same amendment back a couple times. It's a great program, and folks, it's what fills part of the seats out here and does leadership. If we really need these leadership programs in Wyoming, I encourage an aye vote.
Further discussion? Seeing none, Chief Clerk will call the roll. We're voting on third reading amendment number 3 to Senate File 1.
Third reading amendment number 3, roll call. Anderson? Aye. Barlow? Aye. Boner? Aye. Brennan? Aye. Case? No. Cooper? Aye. Crago? Aye. Crum? Aye. Dockstader? Aye. Driscoll? Aye. French? No. Baru? Aye. Hicks? Aye. Hutchings? No. Ide? No. Jones? Aye. Cole? No. Landon? Aye. Larson? No. Love? Aye. McEwen? No. Nethercott? No. Olson? Aye. Pappas? Aye. Pearson? No. Rothfuss? Aye. Salazar? No. Schuler? Aye. Scott? Aye. Steinmetz? Aye. President Beitman?
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Pearson? No to aye. Salazar? No to aye. Larson? No to aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Third reading amendment number 3, 24 aye, 7 no.
Third reading amendment number 3 to Senate File 1 has been adopted. Third reading amendment number 4, corrected copy. Will the reading clerk please read it in?
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 4, corrected copy, page 16, line 5.
Thank you. Senator Crago.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move third reading amendment number 4 to Senate File 1. Ask for your favorable consideration. Good senators, this is, we've seen this before in previous budget discussions. This is a cost allocation amendment, and specifically it applies to agricultural programs that house money within our A&I department. And Mr. President, what this does is essentially the corrected copy. And if you look at the previous one, you'll actually see the dollar amounts. The total dollar amount on this amendment is $223,504, just so everybody knows. $223,504. In case anybody wants to know, you can add up the numbers that were on the original amendment, and we've cleaned that up a little bit. What this essentially is saying is that there will be no cost allocation for those programs that are listed on the amendment. I'll speak to one that I know a lot about, which is the Beef Council. Mr. President, essentially, this is money that's raised by local producers. It's then funneled through the state's bank account, and as a product of that, money is allocated to A&I for holding the money. This essentially would prohibit that for the next budget biennium, and that money then can be used by the producers for the intended purpose rather than going into the general fund. That's all this amendment does. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you, Mr. President. And I think my co-sponsor on the amendment has a few words as well.
All right. Senator Larson.
Mr. President, I would encourage an aye vote on this also. These are dollars that are come from our farmers and our ranchers. It's dues or fees paid to that association. I can, like Dry Bean Commission, Leaf Cutter Bees, the Animal Damage Management Program. All of these are taking dollars that they can use for their programs to do experimental on different bean varieties or such. So I would encourage an aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion on the amendment? Senator Nethercott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just for clarity from the explanation, so is this new money that's being appropriated? So we're on amendment number 4, we're approaching $500,000. Are we appropriating $223,000 in new money, or is this just a reversion of current money already appropriated into a different pot?
Okay, we'll take some more questions before the sponsor, if we have any. Seeing none, Senator Craigo for your second time.
And thank you, Mr. President. To answer that question, we are not appropriating new money. This is the net effect is $223,000 total. So essentially, we're just we're not pulling that money out of those accounts. We're leaving that money in those accounts, so we'll have a net effect on the general fund, negative $223,000 total.
Okay. We're voting on third reading amendment number 4 to Senate File 1. The chief clerk will call the roll.
Third reading amendment number 4, Anderson. Aye. Barlow. Aye. Boner. Aye. Brennan. Aye. Case. Aye. Cooper. Aye. Craigo. Aye. Crum. Aye. Dockstader. Aye. Driscoll. Aye. French. Aye. Garou. Aye. Hicks. Aye. Hutchings. Aye. Ide. Aye. Jones. Aye. Cole. Aye. Landon. Aye. Larson. Aye. Love. Aye. McEwen. Aye. Nethercott. No. Olson. Aye. Pappas. Aye. Pearson. Aye. Rothfuss. Aye. Salazar. Aye. Schuler. Aye. Scott. Aye. Steinmetz. Aye. President Beitman.
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Third reading amendment number 4, 30 ayes, 1 no.
Third reading amendment number 4 to Senate File 1 has been adopted. Third reading amendment number 5.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 5, page 16, line 8.
Senator Craigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Without objection, I would withdraw third reading amendment number 5 to Senate File 1.
Okay. Absent objection, so ordered. Third reading amendment number 5 to Senate File 1 has been withdrawn. Third reading amendment number 6.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 6, page 17 after line 21.
Senator Landon.
Mr. President, thank you. I would move third reading amendment number 6 to Senate File 1. Ask for your favorable consideration. Fellow senators, this goes into the Department of Ag's budget. And it really is a language change, which is required. A couple of years ago, the governor had to veto this out because it was not included. And so what this would do is simply request of the Department of Agriculture, and we state in the amendment that it has to go through the Game and Fish Commission. That's a process that they're already using, Mr. President. The commission receives those requests from the Department of Agriculture. Lacking that, it would jeopardize some of the federal funding that comes into the Wyoming Game and Fish Commission. So that's all this does. It doesn't change anything about the predator control or the commitment by the commission of that $1 million to the predator program. So hope you'll support the amendment.
Discussion on the amendment? Discussion? Seeing none? Doesn't appear to be a roll call, so we'll just do a voice vote. We're voting on third reading amendment number 6 to Senate File 1. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The amendment has been adopted. Third reading amendment number 6 to Senate File 1 has been adopted. Third reading amendment number 7.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 7, page 23, line 16.
Senator Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption of third reading amendment number 7 to Senate File 1. Folks, this was back from the supplemental budget last year, passed this body easily. It's for artwork going into the Hathaway building that was not included in any of their stuff. It's $10,000 to do murals and artwork in the building. I'd stand for question and ask for your favorable consideration.
Discussion on the amendment. Discussion. Chief Clerk will call the roll. We're voting on third reading amendment number 7.
Third reading amendment number 7, Anderson. Aye. Aye. Barlow. Aye. Boner. Aye. Brennan. Aye. Case. Aye. Cooper. Aye. Craigo. Aye. Crum. Aye. Dockstader. Aye. Driscoll. Aye. French. No. Guru. Aye. Hicks. Aye. Hutchings. Aye. Ide. No. Jones. Aye. Cole. No. Landon. Aye. Larson. No. Love. No. McEwen. No. Nethercott. No. Olson. No. Pappas. No. Pearson. No. Rothfuss. Aye. Salazar. No. Schuler. Aye. Scott. No. Steinmetz. No. President Beitman.
No.
No. Boner. Aye to no. Closing vote. Dockstader. Aye to no. Landon. No. Jones. No. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Third reading amendment number 7, 13 aye, 18 no.
Third reading amendment number 7 to Senate File 1 has failed. Third reading amendment number 8.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 8, page 23, line 16.
Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move third reading amendment number 8, Senate File 1, and ask for your favorable consideration. Members, this goes to a bill that was passed out of the last session, pictograph, historic inscription protection. As you'll recall, we had a very lengthy discussion about that. And just a reminder of what that Senate file and Enrolled Act 91 did was that it provided a protection for these pictographs posts and had a fine. And then it's section 2, as it left here, was that this is, of course, for state, school, and institutional lands of Wyoming, so that the agency would go out and actually photograph, map, et cetera, those things to preserve a record of them for posterity. And then when it left here, it had this exact appropriation in it. And this body approved that bill 27-4. Now, if we recall how we got to the end of last session, there were a lot of things right at the very end. And so the decision was made that we would not try to go to conference committee and visit with our colleagues about funding the actual work that needed to be done. So while they have a charge in statute, in statute to go out and do this work, they do not have the resources. We did not provide the resources because of that actions that were taken last year. So what this does is it brings in, you can see in the bill, $441,000 plus for surveying, documenting, and three-dimensional modeling. And this was something that came out of your select Tribal Relations Committee, and we had several meetings met on this in the previous interim, and this is just a follow-up on those actions from last session that the appropriation got left out in the process. So I'd ask for your favorable consideration, and members of the body, I guess the importance of this, just this last year, the 10th month of this last year, one of these sites on state lands was defaced and vandalized. And so this is something that, and we're not going to every state section. We know where some of these are. We're just trying to build a record for research and for posterity, so we can, because not only does man damage these things, unfortunately, as was happened not long ago, but also nature, erosion, starts to wear on these things. So we're just trying to create a record of those early folks that were here long before us and the things that they left on our landscape, on our state, school, and institutional lands. Thank you, Mr. President. I'd ask for your favorable consideration.
Thank you, Senator. Discussion on the amendment. Discussion? Seeing none, we're voting on third reading amendment number 8 to Senate File 1. Chief Clerk will call the roll.
Third reading amendment number 8, roll call, Anderson. Aye. Barlow. Aye. Boner. Aye. Brennan. Aye. Case. Aye. Cooper. Aye. Crego. Aye. Crum. Aye. Dockstader. No. Driscoll. Aye. French. No. Guru. Aye. Hicks. Aye. Hutchings. No. Ide. No. Jones. Aye. Cole. No. Landon. Aye. Larson. No. Love. Aye. McEwen. No. Nethercott. Aye. Olson. Aye. Pappas. Aye. Pearson. No. Rothfuss. Aye. Salazar. Aye. Schuler. Aye. Scott. Aye. Steinmetz. No. President Beitman.
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote. Closing. Vote closed. Third reading amendment number 8, 22 aye, 9 no.
Third reading amendment number 8 to Senate File 1 has been adopted. Third reading amendment number 9.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 9, page 26, line 15.
Senator Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move third reading amendment number 9 to Senate File 1. Folks, this is a simple clerical technical amendment. And I was asked by LSO to bring this forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, This is not a roll call vote. This will be a voice vote. We're voting on third reading amendment number 9. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Amendment has been adopted. Third reading amendment number 10.
Senate File 1, third reading amendment number 10, page 26, line 3.
Senator Larson.
Mr. President, thank you. I move third reading amendment number 10 to Senate File number 1. Is concerning the Board of Control and how it is funded. Currently, in the governor's budget, it will come out of Water Account 1. This changes it to become out of general funds. These dollars we would be taking out of Water Account 1 are needed for all the projects that our citizens want in the cities, in the country for irrigation and that sort of thing. The total amount is $17,300,000. I would encourage an aye vote. Thank you.
Discussion on the amendment. Senator Hicks.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, and I would encourage an aye vote on this. This has been a policy decision a long time. We're just restoring the Board of Control back to the general fund. I just remind everybody it was the first constitutionally mandated and only constitutionally mandated agency of the state of Wyoming, and we just need to get them back on the general fund where they belong. So on and for the amendment.
Discussion on the amendment. Senator Barlow.
Thank you, Mr. President. So am I to understand that the $17,300,000 is the balance of the account, or is there other monies in the account? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else before the sponsor? Senator Hicks for your second time.
Yeah, and I'll let the sponsor do the cleanup, but what this effectively does is over a number of years, we shifted when we were short of revenue. We took that agency and we put them on water development. We took the money, and that $17 million is coming out of the water development accounts. We've done that twice in the history of state of Wyoming, but both times is when we were significantly revenue challenged. But since we enacted the Constitution, the Board of Control has always been on the general fund other than those 2 times where we were significantly revenue challenged. This just puts them back on the general fund, and that's a $17 million expenditure. I hope that answers my colleague from Campbell County's question, and then the sponsor, he can back clean up here if there's additional questions required.
All right. Any other questions? Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to add further information, I believe it happened in 2016 when we were short of funds. At the same time, another $29 million was deducted from some of the water accounts. And what this in essence does is when we deduct this every year from our water accounts, it starves our projects all across the state of that vital funding and that we need. So it's very important to all of our little districts across the state that are dealing with aging irrigation infrastructure, our cities and counties dealing with municipal water projects as well, that these be restored so that they can continue on with the good work of maintaining all of the things we rely on every day.
Thank you. Further discussion? Senator Larson, back to you for your second time.
Mr. President, thank you. I would just want to reiterate that, yeah, this 17.3 million currently would be coming out of account 1, and we wouldn't be able to use those dollars for projects that are vital to our cities and our irrigation systems. So I would encourage an aye vote. I hope that answers the question.
All right. We're voting on third reading amendment number 10, the Senate File 1. The chief clerk will call the roll.
Third reading amendment number 10, Anderson? No. Barlow? Aye. Boner? Aye. Brennan? Aye. Case? No. Cooper? Aye. Crago? Aye. Crum? No. Dockstetter? Aye. Driscoll? Aye. French? No. Guru? Aye. Hicks? Aye. Hutchings? Aye. Ide? No. Jones? Aye. Cole? No. Landon? No. Larson? Aye. Love? Aye. McEwen? No. Nethercott? Aye. Olson? Aye. Pappas? Aye. Pearson? Aye. Rothfuss? Aye. Salzar? Aye. Schuler? Aye. Scott? Aye. Steinmetz? Aye. President Beitman?
Aye.
Aye. Closing vote? Closing. Vote closed. Third reading amendment number 10, 23 aye, 8 no.
Third reading amendment number 10, the Senate File 1 has been adopted. Madam Majority Floor Leader.
Mr. President, I move that the Senate stand recessed until 1:30 PM.
All right, are there any announcements? Senator Case.
Well, there's a couple announcements, Mr. President. Most importantly, Mr. President, in exactly, let's see, 43 minutes, the Chicago White Sox and the Chicago Cubs will be playing in Phoenix, Arizona. An opening game of spring training.
Ah, glorious.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I used to live in Chicago, and crosstown rivalry, because they're in different leagues, so you only got it once in a while. So it'd be a special game, but pretty cool. And welcome to spring training, Mr. President.
Thank you.
And let's get rejuvenated by that. And on Monday morning at 8 o'clock, your committee number 7, corporations, will meet to continue our work. We have one House Bill 86, removal of county officers' election code violations would be up. Let's do 9 o'clock. How's that work for you guys? 9 o'clock Monday.
All right, any further announcements? Senator Salazar.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Senate Appropriations Committee will be meeting in E202 just a little after 12:30. We'll be picking up 4 bills: HB 34, firefighters' retirement plans, HB 35, firefighters' paid leave and hazard pay, HB 105, K-12 school facilities appropriations 2, and HB 107, local government distributions.
Thank you. Senator Steinmetz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to remind everyone that the Farm Bureau is providing lunch downstairs today if you'd like to go see some of your Farm Bureau members from across the state.
Thank you. Thanks for the reminder. Senator McEwen.
Thank you, Mr. President. Revenue Committee will meet at 12:30 on Monday to discuss House Bill 45, long-term homeowner tax exemption revisions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further announcements? Anybody? Senator Brennan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your committee number 10, Senate Labor, Health and Social Services Committee will meet Monday, February 23rd in Capitol Extension Room E001 and online to take up House Bill 4, Birthing Centers Medicaid coverage.
Thank you. Senator Nethercott.
Mr. President, just a reminder to all the senators, we'll be back at 1:30, so just an hour for lunch, unusual for the course of the day, 1:30 for lunch. Thank you.
Okay, you've all heard the motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. The Senate will stand recessed until 1:30 p.m.